And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Holy shiitake mushrooms! We have another huge panel today. What the heck? This is amazing. Oh, I forgot to put the
an
little
all-star panel.
It is an all-star panel. It's true. It's true. Welcome, everybody. EGT Sub-Commander Tall, welcome back. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
you,
It's great
sir.
to be back.
Good to have you aboard. Hopefully you're not an android named Norman that's going to sabotage my ship and take me...
Well, I'm not going to lift my shirt, so you won't find out.
Welcome back, Admiral Ian.
Yeah.
We got Father and PJ in the house. Woo! And what's Genshin Martian?
Genshin Impact is the greatest video game on the planet right now.
That's what the video game you're currently playing?
Yeah.
Can you, I love that you game on our streams. Can you also Twitch it so that we're on Twitch at the same time that like you're on Starfleet Boy? So
Yes,
your Twitch,
yeah.
so your Twitch users only hear your answers and your responses? That might be cool. While you're gaming.
I guess if I had a Twitch channel, I could do that.
You can use the Starfleet. You can use the Starfleet.
Or a Twitch account.
Yeah, you could totally use our Twitch account.
No, I have a Twitch account actually.
Yeah, bogus
watch
frat. Yeah. Is here in the audience. There is no one left to be in the chat with me. Oh,
you get to ask all the questions you want.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You do get to ask all the questions you want.
I've just had a DM from Tilly. She says hello from Tilly from last week. She says hello and she'll be joining in a couple of minutes.
Oh, she will. Did you send her the link?
No, she's
she's gonna be in the chat.
She's
That's right.
in the chat room.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. I already knew that. Sorry. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool, excited. Is anyone prepared to or would like to do the episode summary for this one?
If no one says anything, he's just going to tell me to do it.
It's true.
That's why we all stay quiet.
I'll do this one too if you want. We could do it in tandem, Father. Why don't you kick it off?
You each say a
yeah,
word.
Okay, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like I'll pass the summary to you, like, and you have to catch it like Harry Mudd caught the invisible bomb from Spock.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
No, we start off. We open the episode with Dr. McCoy and Spock in the Enterprise corridor making remarks about this new crew member, Norman. He's very cold. He's just all about business, never talks about anything unrelated to work. He won't show up to his physicals, though, so he's kind of mysterious. And Spock is like, oh, well, he actually sounds pretty cool. And, of course, he doesn't want to go to his physical because you're really lame and no one should like you, you dumb human doctor. But as it turns out, he is, in fact, an android infiltrator who takes control of the ship and brings them to a planet dominated by a number of androids. You have like the Alices, you have like the Normans. They're all identical to one another, and they're being ruled by none other than Harcourt Fenton Mudd, who we know from the season 1 episode Mudd's Women. And I'll let Sohel do the next half of the summary.
I was tweeting in the background, so that was great, and I was kind of paying attention to your summary, which was awesome. But I know where
they cross paths with Mudd and see that he's really the androids.
Yeah, he's totally got
Mudd the first.
He's totally got the androids under his spell, so to speak, and he's created 500. He's gotten 500 of them to look like the same person, Alice, his favorite model, I guess. There's a ton of different models. They're all very interesting models, including the male ones, by the way. I was very compelled by them this time. I don't remember being interested in the models before, but I thought it was very cool.
When they lift up their shirts and show their robo bellies, is that what does it for you?
So real quick, I guess to jump right into it, what I loved about it this time around is that we have all this android stuff that's come after this that has now kind of like elevated this episode in a sense, because I can see how so much of the groundwork for like just synthetic life forms in Star Trek in general was laid in this ridiculous, stupid episode from like it's insane. They really go into, like, for example,
they're ancient androids, though.
Yeah, when Norman undoes his chest piece so that you see innards or whatever and puts it back. It's just like how Data, it's like seamless, it opens up and then when you close it, there's like no seams at all. Like you can't even tell.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When he opens his belly, that looked pretty advanced for the time. I was kind of impressed by that. Was that something they did in the remaster?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck that shit.
I was trying to.
I don't like that. See, I don't like when the physical effects are changed like that.
I actually was going to ask Sohal if he actually knew anatomy because it was the belly and not chest piece.
Oh, did I say chest piece? Sorry, I was thinking of the chest piece.
No, the original effects. The original effects, it just looked like old radio parts, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw it and I was like, that's pretty cool for the 60s. But anyway, now I know.
It would have
had like clockwork mechanical things going on and stuff.
That's why I wish they would put the unaltered episodes on streaming as well, so that you have the option. Because I'm getting at the point now, I own those on Blu-ray, but I'm at the point now because I just keep watching on Netflix or Paramount Plus. That I've actually watched the remasters, I think, more than I've seen the original. So now I kind of feel obligated to go back and start watching the originals again.
Yeah, I've got all the originals on DVD, so I'm thinking I need to dig out the DVDs and see what the originals were like again.
It's kind of interesting because in comic books, when they retouch old comic books, they generally leave the mistakes in for historical accuracy. They don't fix the color bleeds. They leave it because that's part of the art.
Right.
You know?
And I applaud.
I'm of two minds too because I actually didn't like all the restorations at all, but now that I've been rewatching the TOS with you guys and I haven't seen these restored versions, slowly but surely I'm like, damn, that actually looks kind of nice, you know? And I'm like, but damn, I just want to see the original too. Like I want to see what it originally was, not what, because you could touch it up forever. And like I don't know. Just there is somebody on YouTube that actually compares the two. Oh, that's
I think they've done it with movies and everything else, and you can actually do the comparisons. It's actually quite. I can't remember who does it, but they're really, really good. Where they compare the original. They've done it with the movies, and I think they've done it with episodes as well. So it is quite good to see what they're like.
It'd even be neat if you had a toggle
back and forth. You can't. You can do that with the Blu-ray.
Well, like in real time though.
Yeah.
Because like in real time, like while you're watching, click a button and it like switches back to. Because that would be interesting if you could quickly like.
You can like rewind it back and then hit the change whatever button. And it'll
that's a great feature.
Switch back and forth. And that's one thing I like that Paramount and CBS did is that on all the home video releases they include both versions, unlike some people who go and like remaster their stuff and just like destroy the original negatives and are like, you'll never ever see that again.
Happy birthday, George Lucas.
I'm looking at the comparison of iMud now, and it's Trekkie Channel that does it. And all you have to type in is like Star Trek comparison and iMud, and you don't even have to click on the video. You can see it right in the old school belly looks really not the same at all.
Well, I mean, one of the interesting things about that effect, not to spend too much time just on that effect, but is most of the remastering were exterior, space opticals, but it was very rare that they actually did anything sort of, in
that kind of minute, right? Right.
Yeah, or it's where they did anything that wasn't an exterior spaceship shot, like something that was happening in the scene with the actors. That was pretty rare. I mean, there was a couple things. I know they added the phaser in the Naked Time, where they added the beam in that wasn't there, and they made the Gorn blink, I think. Yeah. A couple other things, but mostly what they did were just kind of space opticals.
When they started these back in 2006, I believe, and these were actually airing on TV here in the United States in syndication, but they started with the episodes that had the most space shots, so stuff like Balance of Terror or the Doomsday Machine, and they released those first, and then later they went back to like these ones that don't have that many effects in there to change, but eventually they went through all of them and then released them on Blu-ray.
So they quickly figure out Harry Mudd's plot, which is to steal the Enterprise by by stranding the entire crew of the Enterprise on this planet full of androids that will give them anything they want. They're meant to serve all their wishes. At first, it's delightful and kind of funny. Chekhov really enjoys it a lot, it seems.
It's better than Leningrad.
Better than
I'm glad
Leningrad.
Chekhov's hair finally evolved to its new form.
Yeah.
It
did.
A nice slimmer form that looks more like actual hair.
It did in the Apollo episode too. I think because we're not watching it in production order and we're watching it in release order. Yeah, so it goes back and forth and sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know why Father's like, oh, you got to watch it in production order because it doesn't really matter from a serial perspective because there's not a lot of serialization going on. Yeah. So. But anyways, the androids quickly it becomes apparent that they're like their objective is to serve but also oppress and so through service, which is very interesting. It's like you will enjoy our tending to your every needs, or we'll take care of you. I don't know. So and then of course,
it's kind of like sci-fi trope with android type creatures that want to do better, do good for humankind, but realize humankind's kind of the problem, so they become tyrannical. iRobot type of. I guess iRobot's more about consciousness, but
yeah, it's the extreme nanny state, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, nanny state. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So then, anyways, the crew of the Enterprise is not having it, and Kirk and company come up with a brilliant plot by realizing that they can overload the androids because they need, they don't understand things that are logical, so they just play on that and do all kinds of crazy things from like mostly performances and dance, and like, it becomes like a variety show. And then finally they get to poor Norman, the Borg Queen.
I feel like it becomes, guys, we have 4 hours left to finish this episode and deliver it to the studio. Just do whatever. Quick, wrap it up, send it to the studio.
They short circuit Norman and they're free, but then they reprogram all the androids to basically keep Harry Mudd in prison, which he, I guess, breaks out of because we'll see him again in the animated series.
That's right.
And his weird, cruel, sadistic android wife is made into 500. Stella, who we met.
Wasn't that the companion of the Doctor like a couple of doctors ago?
Stella?
The wife, Norma, right? Was that her name in the show? What was the wife's name?
Stella.
Oh, okay. Remember the doctor with the? I don't remember her name. She was with Tennant, the bitchy one.
Oh, he's talking about Donna.
Is that her? It's like redheadish. Yeah,
Donna.
That's
It's her first appearance in a sci-fi show.
They probably should have got her to play
Catherine
Stella
Tate would have been
Discovery
instead
of.
Yeah.
I mean, the woman they got was super cute, but doesn't look anything like the original Stella.
Yeah, you look at that bit, really cute, and you don't hear hardcore Fenton.
Years of abuse by Harry Mudd turned that poor woman, that sweet woman, into the product that we have there.
It's a nagging hag.
Yeah, so
I saw a couple cosplays of them on the Star Trek cruise. Ian, did you see them on the second cruise? They were like the right ages to be these characters, and they had like really good costumes, and they were like in character. Like they were like walking around the ship. She was like yelling at them like you miserable good for nothing. You smell like you've been drinking again.
That's awesome.
I'm glad she wasn't talking to me because I haven't been drinking.
Yeah, I hear someone yelling that, and I'm like, are you talking to me?
Stephen Candle, who also writes the animated series one, was the writer credit, and then David Gerald got the rewriting credit for it. And I thought that was cool that he kind of
he created the Slee Stacks on Land of the Lost.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And he wrote for Sliders, which is the show I would kill to rewrite.
Oh, no way!
I would love to reboot. That show had so much potential.
Anything that existed in the 20th century will get a reboot, remake, sequel, or prequel in the 21st century.
I believe Peacock's already working on it.
Not surprised.
What's interesting to me about this episode is that, Star Trek's kind of three big comedy episodes, this one, Trouble with Tribbles, and I guess Piece of the Action. I mean, those are kind of broadly the three main comedies, are all very close together in the production schedule and even the airing schedule. I think this one airs first, actually. And it sort of goes to show this was the time period, kind of near the end of Gene L. Coon's time as line producer, and he was very much in favor of having some comedy, lightening things up, or, and you can see moments in a lot of the episodes when he was producing. But shortly after that, Roddenberry came back for the second half of the second season, and also John Meredith Lucas. And the tone definitely started to shift back towards being a little more serious. So you have like Assignment Earth and the Omega Glory or Ultimate Computer, things like that. But this little period is kind of, it's sort of special on the whole show's run, because it's just like the funny stretch, kind of the midway through second season.
Yeah, I think when people are very knocking on Lower Decks and saying comedy in Star Trek doesn't work, well, watch these episodes, because it does work. Comedy in Star Trek do work, and I think, the naysayers will, go away, basically.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you say that. But it does work. But I think the thing about it is that like it works best when it's situational, I guess. Like where it's like kind of like how it is in this episode. What did you guys all? What were your biggest takeaways from? Well, Sub Commander Tall hasn't seen it in a while, but for those of you who watched it recently, how does it compare to the last time that you watched it?
Still as enjoyable. I think every time I watch it, I enjoy it. It's not diminished by the amount of times that you see it. You see maybe a little bit on nuances. It's sort of like when he's, Kirk was saying, "Well, we want you to go." Well, why? Well, we don't like you. And sort of it's that bit, and there's all those little things, and where he says when he goes to the group, "Well, give me your feedback. We're in trouble." McCoy, but Chekhov's right. We're in trouble. Spock, if you say we're in trouble, well, we are, Captain. It's it's all those bits, and it is still nuanced. It's still humorous, and I don't think, as matter how many times you watch it, there's still certain bits that make me smile. It's not laugh out loud, but it still makes me smile. It's still there. I think doesn't matter how many times, it's funny.
It was a cool moment. We were absent Sulu, but to see the crew kind of working together and doing all these like kind of plots against the androids, and I especially liked Uhura's subterfuge, because earlier in the episode she does seem fascinated, which, by the way, I think now I know where my fascination, I would love a synthetic body, and I think it came from this episode, because that moment where she's like, what, your bodies last for 500,000 years, and she's like compelled by it, and then of course Mudd, capitalizing on the no pun intended, capitalizing on the moment, says, oh my dear, imagine it, like he's like trying to like swell that sensation. And so then later when she does her betrayal, I actually, even though I knew like it was a part of the trick, I fell for it, and I kind of like enjoyed that scene. And I really like when Kirk, it's tense right after for a moment, and he's like, you did beautifully, and he like lifts her up, and they're all laughing together, and that was like a real cool moment in the episode that I had forgotten about completely. So yeah, rewatching it, there were a lot of little gems that I didn't remember. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, and I think it's a nice showcase of these actors' comedic abilities and just their timing. And I think the humor is fairly subtle and light for most of it, and then the last 10 or 15 minutes, it just descends into this absurdity. I mean, which I enjoy. I like it, but it's so over the top. But you can tell they're having a lot of fun doing it, because they didn't get that many opportunities really to act in that way, but they're great.
Yeah, I think the bit where they're confusing the androids, where they're looking and they're doing like this, doing the bit, and they're doing the fuse, and and all that, and it's just that enactment that you see on the stage, you see in slapstick, you see anything else, but it was you know, and the total confusion of the androids going, you know, we're really not getting it. It's really good.
Yeah, the main
You know,
guy
if
who
you take
plays
that out of
Norman.
context, it's very weird.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
just see a
If you
clip
only
of it,
see this
it's
scene.
bizarre. Yeah.
It embarrassed me one time because I was watching this as a kid and I'd already seen it, and it was like at this part, and like my mom knew nothing about Star Trek. She never watched a single episode. It's just not something that would ever interest her in 100 years. But she like walks into the room and like the part where like Bones and Scotty, or like this part where like they're playing their flute and their violin and the Chekhov and your her are dancing, and my mom just looked at the TV like, what the hell are you watching? Like, what is this?
What's wrong with my son?
Yeah, that whole sequence, I mean, it almost reminds me a little bit of like an old Batman episode. You know, it's like really leaning into the camp of it. Even just seeing that diagonal across the screen, that you know, of the ceiling that you just showed, but it's not quite as sort of organic as the humor in like maybe Trouble with Tribbles. I mean, it does seem a little bit more. I don't know, not forced, not bad like that, but just kind of
Contrived,
over the top,
maybe.
contrived. Yeah,
Cocaine fueled, maybe.
maybe.
I don't think cocaine had really caught on quite yet.
Oh, it's the future, but they have it in the future.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, it's not
In the
LSD, isn't it?
60s?
It's
Are you kidding me?
LDS. It's LDS.
LDS.
As Kurt said, he's had
put
too much
cocaine.
LDS.
Yes.
Cocaine was big in the 1900s, the early 1900s. Like in the 60s, they were doing that shit by the pounds.
Oh, I
kidding
thought
me?
it didn't get. I thought it didn't get popular until the.
No,
70s,
they used to
but I don't
prescribe
know.
cocaine. Psychologists
Yeah,
used to
it was
prescribe
different.
cocaine.
Yeah, it was like they actually used it for like.
No, it was
dopamine.
before
Coca-Cola.
Very common.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola still has it in there.
What did you guys think of the android? What did you guys think of the android Norman?
I love that he's wearing a uniform from the motion picture.
He's that advanced.
I should crop it like right here. There we go.
Yeah,
to save the censors, but
he's fully functional.
Actually, with that chain, I think he looks really gangster.
There, he does. There's a weird fetishy thing going on with the chain, I thought. But we won't get into that too much. But yeah, I thought he was interesting. Again, just like the idea, what I thought was cool about him being the central node or whatever, or however they described him, it was very similar to how the Borg collective works, and I thought that was cool. I'm sure these ideas were, of course, related to computer networking, which was something that was starting to come about in more prominence in the business world and stuff like that, and people, so it's cool to see how that would translate into science fiction. But yeah, I really love that, like how they had to report to him, like he solved problems that were too complex, like he was just like the Borg queen, which is how she describes herself in a weird way. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think the actor did a good job at sort of making him likable, but android-like. With just a few mannerisms. He wasn't too over the top with it, but just how he would pause a little bit. I mean, sort of maybe Shatnerian in a way, but when he would speak, or just he rarely used his arms or his hands. But I enjoyed Norman. I like that concept of it's a distributed sort of intelligence, and yet nonetheless there is only one Norman.
Makes me it does surprise me a bit, because you think about it, everything went through him. So how on earth did they cope when he was on the Enterprise?
Well, he's the one that's capable of it. He's the most.
Yeah.
He's well, and as far as them coping, I bet he could hand off the node to like another unit for temporarily or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so there might be like maybe because it's because it's a cluster computer, what we describe now as like cluster computing, like maybe his absence the range is still there or whatever, and they're still communicating through him somehow through these great distances.
Is the whole planet full of these androids, or is it just this one spot? Because I assume there were like more of him around.
Well, he said there's like
just didn't see them.
200,000 of them or something.
Yeah.
There's a few 100,000, but they don't say where they are.
And Spock observes that there's like a bunch of this model, that model, the others, but he's only seen one Norman. So it is possible that there's another one, but they only saw this one Norman unit, and because he was a central node, that makes sense that he would be like unique or different.
And Norman had a very bad stunt double that no one knew about in that fight scene.
Oh, they all have bad stunt doubles.
That stunt double was
They all
terrible.
have bad stunt doubles.
It was terrible. It was so bad.
It was like dude who was literally like 30 years older than him, right?
Yeah.
Just cut to this old man.
Yeah, it was like some homeless guy they found outside the studio. Like, here's $5, man. And some cocaine. Sorry, I forgot. This is the Starfleet Boy After Dark. I have to censor myself.
Yeah. You don't have to
I must admit, I did like the introduction of Norman. I did like the introduction of Norman when you're saying, obviously, we said there about McCoy and Spock walking along there, and then he was saying, McCoy saying, I just don't trust anybody that just giving any emotions, doesn't give anything about their background and everything else. And Spock's looking at him. He's going, well, the ears make the difference. It's nothing to do with it. It's humans.
Yeah, he was describing exactly how Spock is.
It's just,
funny.
It's a great moment. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought it was hilarious when he was just standing on the bridge and you all kind of have to walk around him and they're giving him looks like, fuck.
Oh, Uhura nearly walks into him. Uhura nearly walks into him, yeah.
My favorite thing of the whole episode was actually the line that Spock tells Bones there. He says, labels do not make arguments.
Yeah.
I was
yes.
like, yeah, that's a good line. And then from there, it was like... descent to madness.
I did notice that they were breaking character a lot in the episode, especially the android characters. Like with Mud, especially, they were like kind of cracking smiles and laughing.
Awesome.
Or do you think that was like just his charm is that irresistible that it would make an android smile?
Not like the principals, right? Like some of the extras, kind of.
Yeah, the extras. Like
I think they just probably had minimal direction, and they want to be actors, so they're just smiling if it's a funny scene and that kind of thing.
I'm just here for eye candy.
Well, did you notice the one mod? At the end when they have all like the different androids are standing there, and Mud's going around babbling about something. There's one that like seemingly can't stand on the heels. She's like the one he touches. Like if you notice right before he touches her, she's like the only one not still. Yeah, I'm like, what are they, new to heels, I guess.
I think twins, right?
They did, yeah, and I think
we're a set of twins.
Yeah, they were all twins.
Yeah, I think they picked twins, didn't they? Throughout the bit, it was all twins.
And if there was more than two of them in one shot, they would use like a look-alike for the third person or something.
Yeah, or do like the split technique where you splice like the left side of the screen and the right side of the screen with two different shots. Yeah, composite shot. Literally
splice the film with a little razor blade, and but no, I think they actually had a difficult time casting it. They Joe DaGusta, the casting director, was trying to find twins, and there's a famous story of him just driving around Hollywood Boulevard and picking up these two girls who had this pet, like it was a bobcat or something. I mean, for real, this is the story. And, bring them back and having them meet Gene Kuhn and Gene Roddenberry. And, they couldn't act at all, but they were in the background somewhere, so they had no acting experience. But it was difficult to cast from what I remember.
Can I just say that the twins thing, I know it's a different thing behind it, a different reason behind it, but it's cool that the synth colony in Star Trek Picard has a bunch of twin androids because of the process. So I thought it was like a kind of like maybe a callback to this episode in a weird way.
And I wanted to bring up
the androids aren't twins; they're just multiple versions of each.
I said I know
girl.
It's different.
Yeah, okay,
I know it's a different reason.
Yeah.
But it looked, just from a visual perspective, I like the idea of like all these duplicate, synths, like, and then we.
So you like that show Picard, do you?
Yeah, I do like that show.
Didn't people bitch about I forget her name, the other Soji number 3 that did the mind meld, and people were like, androids can't mind meld, blah blah. But in this episode, Spock tries to mind meld with the android. Kind of interesting.
He does it again with another machine in another episode.
Nomad.
Yeah,
Nomad,
right. And then they reuse that entire story for the motion picture.
That's true. That's
Ilea. Yeah,
that's right. And Ilea, exactly. Robbie, what did you think of the episode?
I thought that the actors were all having a wonderful time, and I think this episode, among others, is a prime example of how varied Trek can be, and have so many different tones. This was comedy, and if you don't believe that Star Trek can be comedic, then go and watch Unexpected or Little Green Men or Lower Decks, or even horror, because Star Trek has done horror before, and I just love that when you're watching an episode of Star Trek, a new episode, and when you would have been watching a new episode back then, you never know what it's going to be. It could be any type of story, and you can just change it to suit the political climate or a moral message that is prescient at the time.
What was your standout moment in this episode? Like, what was your favorite moment?
I think it would have to be just the very end, because I cracked up when
comes out.
Captain Kirk was smiling and just left Mud with his mother, multiple mothers.
His wife. That was his wife. Okay, Trekkie. By the way, that was his wife.
Well, she behaved like a mother.
She does mother him a little bit. It's true.
That's what wives were like back in the 60s.
Yeah, it's true. That is what wives were like. You did marry your mother. You kind of looked for someone like your mother, and girls marry
Wow,
their
that's
father.
terrifying.
Oh God, no! Jesus Christ, no!
There was a trope back then with like it was like they used to complain about nagging women a lot back in the day. It's like, and women would be like, "You can't go out and drink, and you're coming home late," and it's like she represented like that stereotype.
Yeah,
another way.
Take my wife, please.
Yeah.
It was always the comedians that would always say about what
Rodney
the wife
Dangerfield.
would say.
Right.
Well, we had back in the UK we had like Les Dawson and things like that. So in that era, it was always the wife or the mother-in-law. It was always like the mother-in-law jokes as well that really were very much like that.
And sadly, it was just part of a system that like would kind of do these stereotypes for women to keep women kind of in their place. But thank goodness now men can nag too. So I hope to be a nagging husband one day. I'm really excited about that, and I definitely will be. No, I'm just kidding. I know that. So you bogus frat says, I know all the timestamps for when Scotty says bogus frat, Doomsday Machine, I'm Mud, and Final Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
The subtitles only caught one of them correctly. That's amazing that you have this like obsession with Scotty saying it. He did say it rather well in this episode when he insults Mud, and I also like that he said something. I always like the little Scottyisms, like when he says beastie or things like that, but
the female gargantua.
Yeah, the female gargantua. That was like my favorite of his lines in this episode. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if that's. I've never heard any other Scots saying things like that. So I don't think it's like a.
He made that up.
Yeah, I think it's a Scotty thing. No,
it was like.
Beastie is something that you say over here.
Oh, you do? What about what about like
fret though?
No,
Bogus
that's
fret.
James Doohan made it was a curse word he made up.
It was like frack, but in the 60s.
Yeah, bogus frat.
Keep in mind, Scotty is from future Scotland, so we don't know what the hell they're going to be saying.
That's right.
Bogus frat really meant effing twat.
Yeah, it probably did. That's probably what it was. Jill also, you bogus frat, also wants to know, I wonder if Boa Trek is named after Loxana's feather boas. It's actually Boat Wreck. So it's BOAT and then REK. If you have
That's how you can tell somebody's never been on my channel.
Oh, wow.
You're not one of the 23 who watches.
You bogus frat, go subscribe to Boat Wreck. Hello, Siskin. Star Trek Picard since, yes. I was talking about that. I think you posted that before I talked about it, though. My favorite since so far are In Love and Death and Robots. I'm looking forward to watching that tonight. I don't know if any of y'all have
it's a volume 2. I didn't realise it was a volume 2. I knew the volume 1 was really good.
Yeah. I meant ancient synthetics from Picard, which may include some of the ones we. This was the thing that the other thing that I loved about this episode is that like when he's describing where they came from the Andromeda galaxy, so they came from a whole other galaxy. So I wondered, like to me that was like and in their galaxy, I guess in the Andromeda galaxy at one point, or in their system where they came from, there were robots and machines just like lived with humanoids or biologicals, and there wasn't like really a problem or anything like that. But then a nova, which they had a different, I guess, idea of like a nova and its effects than we do today, but a nova wiped out this whole like vast civilization somehow, and so, or maybe it was like a hypernova or something like that. But,
but the ones on this planet, they were like, they died over the course of time or the stretch of time. Like the nova wiped out the main civilization, and then
this was
these
outpost,
guys,
right?
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
And that suggested that they had like these. They were calling it like an observation or a study outpost or whatever, and that suggested that they have these in multiple galaxies. So it'd be really neat if Star Trek would have. I would have liked this to have somehow tied into Picard more than the tentacles, but it could still tie in because there's not, they're very vague about what the Synthulu is. So I was just making these headcanon connections like crazy when I heard that story. So that was a cool thing about it.
They need to have a series where they get over to the Andromeda Galaxy, because it's always the Andromeda Galaxy, at least in the old Star Trek. I mean, the Kelvins that we're going to see a few more episodes were from there. I think Kalinda in the one with Lee Merriweather with the purple eyes shadow. I'm for you, James. That which survives. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think they might have been from the It was another outpost from the Andromeda Galaxy. So there's a lot going on in that Andromeda Galaxy. I don't know why they always pick that. I guess it's.
You should make a show called Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda.
Oh wait,
that's right. Yes, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that horrible show. Yeah,
it was
Star Trek very rarely gets into the other galaxy stuff because that's the closest one to us. Wouldn't there be some form of communication at some point?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, they haven't even explored. No, I was going to say they haven't even explored the like our complete galaxy, right? Like there's still enough time. But I was going to say also too that like Andromeda back then must have been like how quantum is thrown around now in every science fiction show. Quantum this, quantum that. Yeah, we don't really know what it is, but just call something quantum and it sounds sci-fi. You know, say Andromeda Galaxy and it sounds like
Yeah.
Should humanity survive, hopefully, into the distant future, a couple billion years from now, the Andromeda Galaxy will have merged with the Milky Way galaxy. So it's actually on a collision course with our galaxy, and I think that's really exciting. And that would have been neat.
And think of all the galaxies out there and how there could be so much life out there that we don't know about.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
Just by chance, even. By the way, 60 Minutes tomorrow night is actually doing a special on what are they called now? UFPs?
UAPs? Aerial phenomenon.
No, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. They changed it from UFO because it has like this like sci-fi stigma, I guess, to it. But they're going to actually do an investigation where they talk to all these pilots who see this shit every day, and they just simply can't explain what the fuck it is. Crazy. And they actually are concerned that it's like a threat to national security and how it's not being talked about enough. Like UFO disclosure and that kind of thing has already happened, and nobody really cares. We're so inundated with sci-fi. It's like
I'm
whatever.
gonna say healthcare is a bigger threat right now, so let's worry about the healthcare before the UFOs. Just an idea, just throwing it out there to my U.S. government.
It is a fact you can talk about many different things. Because somebody focuses on that doesn't mean healthcare doesn't exist.
Well, the other thing.
Well, it does in the U.S. That's the distraction.
What are they called now?
You always gotta say something, Ruben. You always gotta say something.
Well, I mean, 60 Minutes isn't doing a piece on Medicare for all, right? They're doing a piece on UFOs. Fucking crap.
Well, tweet. Well, go on Twitter and tweet to 60 minutes. Go on Twitter and tweet to 60 Minutes and bitch to them about it, not me.
Can I just stop?
I'm not bitching to you about it. I'm just making a joke.
Can I stop both of you 1 second? Ruben, you're wrong. You haven't watched 60 Minutes in a long time. They actually cover everything you're talking about, and they talk about
exactly.
it extensively.
I haven't seen it either.
This is actually rare that they're talking about UFOs or whatever. So both of you are coming from a weird
argumentative. Yeah, 60 Minutes does interviews with all sorts of nonsensical people all the time.
That's your impression, but it's not true.
I haven't seen 60 Minutes in a long time. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you did.
Just saying. Can't make a joke? Jesus Christ. I didn't know you were all 60-minute fanboys here. Like, I'm sorry.
I just told you I haven't seen it in like 20 years. How am I a fanboy? Gotta listen.
Are you guys done?
There we go. Here's a question for you guys, and it's true. Tilly's just said, why didn't the androids just build a ship?
Well, they must have had a ship, because how did Norman get on the Enterprise? I mean, but they had already decided they were going to keep Harry Mudd there. They won't let me go. So no, they must have had a ship or some way to get off the planet.
So what? I mean, all right. So why do you think they needed the Enterprise? I know it's a plot hole. It's like plot hole.
Wait, what was that last question, Ian?
Why did they need the Enterprise?
Mudd,
they could build ships.
That's answered in the episode because Mudd says that the androids got bored of him and wanted more humans, and so he thought it would be great to. So he chose the Enterprise because he just knows them, and he thought it would be a good revenge. I think
it's a serious plot hole, because if they could build ships, why didn't they just go into the universe and check? And
the problem is that I don't know about the building the ships part. That's not what I'm concerned with. But definitely the Enterprise ended up in this mess because Mudd wanted revenge on Kirk.
It may have been. It may have been they wanted to use the Enterprise crew as like a beta test before they let themselves loose into the galaxy at large to take on the Federation or whatever. But yeah, I agree. It's not doesn't totally make sense.
And yeah, you're right. The main android Norman had to have gotten to a star base or something to be assigned to the Enterprise, and he had to actually have been living as a probably as like
for a
while.
If you think about it too much, it falls apart very easily.
Like every episode of Star Trek.
It's like
every single episode of Star Trek. But I'm glad you said that to distract us from that weird 60 Minutes sidebar we went on.
Well, I had to get you out.
I was trying to mention some UFOs. That's all I was trying to do.
That's all right. For me,
I got lambasted by Mr. Journalist here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Triggered. I'm sorry I triggered you.
For me and Robbie, and
you should have trigger warning written on your forehead.
It was getting a bit American, and we needed to get it back to the world. We needed to get away from just America and back to the world.
All androids are synths, but not all synths are androids. I believe the Jem'Hadar could qualify as synths as they are artificial and might try to contact the Alliance of Synthetic Life.
Are they, though? They're biological life forms, so how are they synths?
Yeah, well, some of the synths on Picard are grown, biological, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Are they?
That's, I don't know.
Like a replicant,
aren't they meant to just look look biological enough to fool computers, I guess, because Soji bleeds and stuff like that. So
right, like I
does she have a real heart?
Organic.
That's
what I thought.
To figure out the difference, reference Battlestar Galactica. Just watch the new series.
The
they really do a good job of making the distinction between how synthetic life forms can have everything that an actual biological life form can have. Mudd has bigger chains. Let's see here.
Does that mean something?
I mean, do you guys think that TNG could have referenced this episode more with Data, with Noonien Soong?
I was gonna get to that actually. I feel like these are Soong type android prototype issues. I bet they
couldn't be.
I bet that they I'm just putting this again in headcanon, but Soong could have had access to logs or any information about these. They took a lot of sensor readings and things like that. So
they did that in the novels.
They do. They tie into this.
Tie in all of the android stuff of the original series, like the Corby androids.
Yeah.
Little girls were made of, and the Mudd androids. And Soong, according to the novels, in his youth, he was running around the galaxy investigating all these different things.
That's interesting.
To learn how to build his androids.
So yeah, because a lot of and I can't be 100% certain. I have to go back and listen. But when the androids describe how like what they're made of, like the replicating plastic and like all that stuff, Data said something similar about his internal barium whatever kind of skeleton or whatever, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like the same thing. So yeah, I could totally see how like Soong would have modeled his androids after like these, because they're pretty perfect. I mean, their lifespan is 500,000 years.
You mean
right?
he didn't model them after just taking a giant slab of clay and putting on a big spinny thing and having it rotate real fast, and then all of a sudden it turns into.
Way to,
that's how you make an android. That's what they say. They would say.
Picard had a huge opportunity to incorporate all that kind of canon in there, like that novel did. Apparently,
that's what I'm saying. I'm a little disappointed.
Which sounds great, but
I'm a teeny bit disappointed that Picard didn't make a more, a better connection. But it's okay because
they're all on Ambien, man. They can't keep up.
That's what headcanon is for, anyways. So
everybody's on Ambien now. I have a lot of headcanon
for this episode.
They just don't remember what they wrote down.
I've never taken Ambien, but I've seen tweets of celebrities who are on Ambien, and it's not pretty.
Roseanne. I was on Ambien. It wasn't me.
Batman, Wonder Woman, and Star Trek: The Original Series all lasted 3. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, so.
I have never seen Wonder Woman. It's never been on anywhere.
I think Wonder
Woman
lasted
to watch
4
Wonder Woman.
seasons.
Did it?
I think so. And the Hulk too.
Wonder Woman.
I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but
I would like to watch the original Wonder Woman too. I'm surprised it's not on HBO. Right? Don't they have the property?
Yeah,
now?
it was on DC Universe.
It also moved from one network to another.
That theme
I'm sorry, but Linda Carter as Wonder Woman was one of my major crushes when I was a kid.
Yeah, she's great.
Major crush.
It is on HBO Max.
Oh my gosh.
Too bad it's
on.
Bye guys. Wonder Woman binge watch right now. Just kidding.
No, it's 3 seasons.
Which we should plug.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, you bogus frat. We want to plug the Batman watch along tomorrow on Earl Gay Trekkie.
Yes.
I don't think he has a .com, but on his YouTube for sure. By the way, that's Batman 1989 that we'll be watching, which is the Tim Burton one. We already did the 1966 version last week, so that was
best soundtrack ever.
That movie was so huge when it came out. God, I remember when I was in high school, and it was gigantic. Yeah,
it's true. And you made this connection to the look of Batman in this episode, and I was fresh off the movie, so I was thinking the same exact things about this episode.
It's funny. I had a conversation about Batman. Sorry, everybody wanted Star Trek, but when I think of when I think of Batman and Batman movies, it's those 2 Tim Burton ones that really do my mind goes to. Because for me, it was so much more like the darker comics, the Dark Knight, and all that stuff. I think Michael Keaton is the Batman.
Oh, you should definitely.
I remember seeing Adam West after I saw the Tim Burton movies, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was seriously like, I was hating on it. I was like, "This is stupid." It's like shark repellent. It was the actual '66 movie that I saw after the Tim Burton one.
The bat shark spray. Yeah.
So my friend told me, he's like, there was a Batman movie like 20 years ago. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I have it on VHS. And we popped it in. And I was like, this isn't Batman. I said, what's wrong with his ears? The first thing I said was like, why does he have small ears? Why doesn't he look like Tim Burton? You know, I didn't understand anything. I didn't even know Batman was a fucking comic back then. But yeah.
And Roger C. Carmel was in the old Batman show. I can't remember the name of his character, but I think he may have been in more than one episode. I'm trying to figure that out now. But the guy who plays Harry Mudd was in the old Batman series as well. Like many Star Trek actors were in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tilly, did my Trek-splanation suit your question? Do you feel like it's solved? I'm curious where the androids really didn't need a ship. That it was really Mudd bringing the Enterprise just to exact his revenge on Kirk.
No, but it's not that, because he said it was just by luck that Norman ended up on Kirk's ship.
Oh, he does say that? Oh, shoot, that was my whole thing.
I've got a question.
He was meant to go out and get a starship captain, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. who is your favourite mud? Now, Roger Carmel is my favourite mud. I don't like the Discovery mud. I really, really don't like the way
That
they
Rainn
portray him.
Wilson, right?
But
Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson, yeah, I don't like Rainn Wilson. I think Roger Carmel is the ultimate Harry Mudd for me. What do you guys think?
He is the definitive Harry Mudd. I don't mind Rainn Wilson's portrayal. I know it's like a different thing altogether. But the one thing I noticed in this episode, he's got like hair all going off, like from his chest to his neck, and it's like, man, that's not like really actually just looking at the actor for the first time and noticing like he's a hairy motherfucker.
Except on the top of his head.
Right.
Wait,
a lot of
who's
people
Harry
were really
Rainn
hairy back then.
No,
Like,
he's
it was a
talking
lot of,
about
like,
the mud.
it was a lot of hair
Today's
traveling like right up the face, like right from the chest right into the face. It's like no gaps.
That's the best kind of beard, PJ, is when your chest hair just turns into your beard. It's like awesome. Like,
and where like it goes around the back and there's like a big carpet on the back. Like, I think people are getting less hairy as time goes on. You notice that?
I think there's more cosmetic options for.
I bet, yeah.
Take advantage of
It
People are
wasn't
not,
a thing back then.
people are not getting less hairy. I think people just know how to get rid of hair now.
Although
That's
for
what
sure, Shatner shaved his chest, because he's actually a hairy guy, but when he appeared,
that was down to Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry said that they wouldn't be so hairy in there, so that was Gene Roddenberry's decision for him to shave his chest. That wasn't William Shatner's.
interesting.
I didn't even realize.
What about
But
Picard?
Nimoy didn't do that. Nimoy, they left the chest hair on him.
Yeah,
They did, yeah.
Like when they're getting tortured by Nazis.
I
in
bet
season
Nimoy
3.
was just refused. He was, or maybe they wanted him to look alien and like hairy. I don't know. It's weird.
And
But,
Picard,
It does kind of make sense that we would lose our hair over time.
Yeah,
Picard's got quite a nice little patch.
and so does Riker in
Yeah,
Angel
so does
One.
Riker's
right.
speaking of hair
Yeah.
everywhere, Riker would be
Yeah.
wow, this descended into the hairiness
Harry
of Star
Mudd.
Trek.
Harry Mudd.
Harry
Hairy
Mudd.
Mudd,
for a
yeah.
reason,
Well done. You get a
HAI.
you get a bridge clap for that one. I embrace my hair, but I draw the line at ear hair. When I start getting ear hair, nope, sorry, it's got to go.
Yeah, what's up with that? That's just like a.
It hasn't happened yet. Knock on
When
wood.
you turn 30, you start getting like weird hairs growing out of your ear, I guess.
Yeah, not me yet. Somehow I'm.
It happened to me.
impervious to it,
Right. Just this is a bit of education for Robbie. When you get older, it happens on your chest hair as well. See this colour? It goes onto here as well. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah, it's not the only place. Yeah.
No. Well, I'll leave that for you guys to
say. But to answer your question about who is the definitive Harry Mudd, I mean, I haven't seen Rainn Wilson, so I have to go with this one. But it's interesting to see the difference in Roger C. Carmel's portrayal from Mudd's Women to I, Mudd, where in Mudd's Women there was a little bit more of a sinister, dangerous aspect, space pirate. I mean, mostly humorous, but a little bit more of a malevolence to him. Whereas in this one, it's pure farce in a way. I mean, he's kind of
I think that also
familiar foil.
The episode itself is just the first Mudd is more focused. There's more tension. There's more drive. This one's more like, hey guys, dance around and play invisible flutes. To confuse the androids, whatever, man. Filler episode. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
I thought this Harry Mudd actually resembles structurally the Rainn Wilson Harry Mudd, because there's more bouts of anger with this Harry Mudd. Like I felt like he expresses
at the beginning
anger a little more.
Yeah.
And then just like the kind of the lunacy of him, like his craziness, like the fact that he would create like an android of his mother wife and like
he's not well. He's not well. He really
he's definitely
is
not well.
disturbed.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence of that, and I think Rainn Wilson plays him that way as well. And I like that episode, Sippin' Jippers on a Beach Somewhere, the short trek includes these androids. So he's even though it's weird because it's like he discovers this planet of androids, but he was also messing around with androids before, so that's kind of like a coincidence. But it is interesting that Harry Mudd has had experience with androids and uses androids to his advantage, and of course those are way those androids, the hairy mud androids, seem like way more advanced than these two for sure. But Discovery,
Do they?
it's a different. Yeah, they feel like they're like these guys are like cumbersome in the way they speak. They're like, hello, how are you? Kind of that kind of thing. And like those, there's a hairy mud android that just acts like hairy mud. Like it's like
Yeah, well, they kind
the
of
one that
break
he
down
created.
after a while. Like it was like
They
they
do
could
break
only
down, that's
record
true.
like so many scenarios of his
Well,
personality.
now he has the recipe for 500,000 year androids. So who knows what he'll create next? So we'll see. That is something I would have liked to have seen. Since I would like to see it actually, is to see some kind of Harry Mudd follow up in a Star Trek series of the future. But Lower Decks is probably the best place to have it. It'd be cool if there was like
he'd fit in there.
Wow.
Yeah. No?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could do anything really.
Well, they thought about
Time
doing it
travel.
on Next Generation. And
Really?
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
early
He died.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roddenberry was more hands-on in season 1, season 2, and he thought about like, what if they had like a cryo tube with Harry Mudd, and then like they open it up, and then like he's like there like oh yeah, but it's been asleep for 80 years, and now like I'm here to like do whatever antics he's gonna be up to.
Yeah,
So they ended up using the cryo tube to have like 20th century people show up in the neutral zone. They did that instead.
He'd
Yeah,
be
I'm
like,
pretty
oh,
sure the
Data, me
idea-
lad.
Interesting.
He'd be really fascinated with Data. I would have liked to have
Data, me
seen like
lad.
what he would have, how he would have reacted to him.
The idea was definitely floated. I know Roddenberry and Roger C. Carmel had an okay relationship, but I think he died right around the first season. Roger C. Carmel, that is. Actually, maybe even a little bit before that. I can't remember exactly. I mean, he must have been alive if they were contemplating it. I think I even read at some point they were considering maybe even doing a spin-off of with Roger C. Carmel as Harry Mudd, even back in the 60s. But I don't know. You hear noises about that with other characters as well. There's even, I heard that about Dr. Mbenga, which seems ridiculous. But it would have been so nice if Roger C. Carmel could have come back one more time. I would have loved to have seen him just in a cameo in like the bar scene in Star Trek 3. Just something walking by, some little moment. But yeah, I'll have to look up when he died.
I actually watched a video this morning by Triangulum Studios. He does fantastic videos, and they were talking about episodes that were pitched and never quite. And there was apparently, if there was going to be a season 4, there was going to be a third Harry Mudd. I think it was called Deep Mud.
Well,
it was called Deep Mud. So
we get a season.
There was going to be a.
If
there was going to be a season 4 of the original, there was going to be a Harry Mudd.
Do they bring back
Roger
Harry
C.
Mudd in
Carmel
Star Trek?
died in 1986.
86, yeah.
In November of 86.
So they
it
probably
would
would have had that idea for the first season, then like they didn't do it after.
Right,
And-
that would have been when they were writing and casting the show. Was
Because he died late
86, I think.
late 86 November. So
And it looks like
Yeah.
he voiced a lot of cartoons because he did DuckTales, he did the Transformers, The Adventures of the Gummy Bears. All these cartoons are stuff that I watched. My Little Pony and Friends. Well, I didn't watch that, but my sister
Who was he in
did.
Transformers?
He played.
he got really thin before he died.
Cyclonus, Quintesson, number 2, like
oh
a bunch
my
of
God,
voices.
really? He was like
Prime Minister of Japan. Yeah, Unicron. He played the voice of Unicron in Grimlock's New Brain.
Wow.
So these are like the after the movie episodes. That's like the season 3, season 4 Transformers. That is crazy. I did not know that.
And of course,
Wow.
Gummy Bears. Gummy Bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Do you remember him in Three's Company? He's really thin then, and I guess it was like he only had a couple of years left or something.
Oh, I didn't
But yeah.
realize now. That's cool. I love that show.
I didn't even realize he was in that show, and I've seen it multiple times.
He played
weird.
Cyclonus, by the way, in Transformers the movie. That was in 1986.
That's crazy.
And he was also in the Smurfs, the Snorks. That's crazy. He did a lot of
Boy.
work. He did a lot of work just before. That's interesting. He did a lot of work that came out after his death too. I guess DuckTales and it looks like the CBS Story Break. Not a lot, just 2 works. But he died in '86, and he did a lot of work that year. The Adventures of Johnny Quest, the Smurfs. The Snorks. Do you guys remember the Snorks?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like underwater Smurfs.
Yeah, exactly. He
Yeah,
was on Laverne and Shirley, it looks like. There's that 3 Companies credit, Merle Denker. Let's see. Yeah, so
But the best animated thing he did was the animated series.
Yeah,
the episode
definitely.
Mud's Passion.
I haven't seen that in a long time with someone with the love potion or something, right?
Yeah, it's basically a date rape drug.
Oh no.
But that's keeping with Mud. Like his first appearance, he's kind of like human trafficking sex workers, basically. So.
that was you put this in the girl's drink and then
that's
fall
right.
asleep.
Yeah,
very Bill Cosby.
Something you want in every animated episode.
Hey TCC, put on your jacket. You are wearing your TCC shirt, which is pretty cool.
I am wearing my Trek Cat t-shirt.
Oh,
so everybody, there you go. It's there. So I've got there. So you want me to go and get the jacket?
That's what the audience requested. It. You can wear it. If you
okay.
want.
I will be 1 second. I'm going to go and get it for you.
I didn't know he had his own brand. Even that's great.
Yeah, totally. I have a shirt, a Starfleet Boy shirt, but it's a one of a kind. I got to do something and print some more or something, just for anyone who wants one, or a hat.
I've got. I'm wearing this one today.
Oh, let's take a look. Hang on, let me. Duel in the Desert. That's great.
Yeah, it's sort of like an old boxing one sheet.
Yeah, very nice.
I've got a maroon top.
Oh, Earl Grey Trekkie. I thought you were gonna have a Star Trek shirt on.
Monster maroon.
It is.
I have Badgie on my shirt.
Nice. Oh, I'm wearing my Lower Deck shirt also, Father.
Yeah, well, you have like 10 of them, so
I do. I do have a lot of them. It's true. That's funny. Yeah, I chose not to wear my uniform today. Here we go.
Hello.
All right, fashion show. Fashion show time.
There we go. And even on the back.
Look at that. Now you erroneously said that this is going to lead. Yeah. Oh, you have to lean back a little, I guess.
I can see it.
So
this
is the Star Trek jacket, and
very
even
nice.
the zip. If you can see, 1 second. Even the zip has a little delta.
Look at that!
Oh
Wow.
It's very Star Trek Discovery era.
Yeah. Well, I think quite a few people were saying it's very similar to Kirk in 2009.
Oh yeah, that too.
And it is a biker's jacket. So yeah. This one is on my Twitter account. I've never had more than a couple. This has given me 1,000 likes on Twitter.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a nerd trap, for sure.
Yeah. So
tell
you
me
can
a little
see
bit about your biker helmet.
that is there's the badge on the rack.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a UFC
Is that
logo.
United Federation? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the collar. On the collar.
Cool.
Yeah, Star Trek
logo.
Yeah.
Your bike helmet doesn't look like this by any chance, does it? Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. Because it should if it doesn't.
Is it the Spock helmet?
Exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think you should.
Which is a canonical helmet in the Star Trek universe because it shows up in Lower Decks.
Yes.
Yeah. That's my next purchase. So I've got the jacket and the helmet.
Hey, those things are super expensive. That is like a top of the line collector's item.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. And for those of you on my tweet that never really got it, there was I said let the celibacy begin.
Right.
There was a certain woman on. I put a tweet out saying, "Should I buy it?" There was a certain woman said, "I would never have sex again if I had bought the jacket." So, to Julia or Julie, it's going to happen. You're just not going to dare. It's going to happen.
Wow.
Not that she'll ever see this thing, but yeah, no, she actually said that I would. She didn't quite put it that way. She used the F word.
She just thought
F
it was
word.
like the biggest deterrent to
Yeah,
sexual...
she thought, yeah, it would actually turn off every woman known to man.
That's not true. It's a huge nerd trap, I feel like.
And it is, but
men
I had so many people defend. defend it.
And
So
third and fourth
Yeah.
genders of Andorians also would be into that jacket. So
yeah. So unfortunately for that certain woman who doesn't like Trek, I believe, and doesn't like sport, and doesn't like jocks. She just
Wow.
the only thing she seemed to like was buildings, which is fine. Whatever floats your boat. But yeah, that was that. So if you ever do see my tweet and said "Let the celibacy begin," it is a quiet dig at this certain.
Now I know how to get you
tweet.
to buy something that's excellent. Now I know your triggers.
Yeah, you're never gonna have sex again. I'll have it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll prove
Let
these
me
people wrong.
Hold my beer. It suits you, TCC. I wonder if the zip toggles are sold separately. And then thank you for putting it on. You got it. Looks awesome from Captain Tilly. And then also, that is not exactly how she put it. Her way was worse. So yeah, well, Ian's a gentleman.
Well, I was being polite. I was being polite. So you know me, I normally swear, but I was trying to be a little bit politer than I usually am.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and I'm sure
So,
it's proper ship etiquette. It's very good. One last thing for me before the ratings, and you guys can give your final thoughts on this episode too. But it just endeared me so much that the trigger, what makes them realize how they can save the day, is that Kirk's love for the Enterprise is what kind of triggers it when he expresses his feelings for her. She's a lady, not an object or a thing like that, and that just like made me really happy. Those are like the little Star Trek moments that I really live for. And so,
and by the way, women can't be captains.
yeah, whatever. That's easy. That part we can retcon. But anyways, I give this episode. I was gonna give it a 9, but you know what? Because of this discussion and how much fun I had talking to you guys, I'm like being moved to give this a 9.5. So I feel like this episode's a 9.5 for me. Robbie, what do you think? Final thoughts and rating?
I think I'd give it a 10 actually.
Nice.
I just have a couple points I've not mentioned in my notes. I like that it started with a very dry, serious opening, and then just becomes more outlandish as it goes on. And even though this episode is 90% hilarious banter, it does have some serious and profound nature to some of the dialogue. And then lastly, when I was watching the episode, I was thinking, I imagined it was probably written as a comfort to the people of the 60s who were maybe worried about technology advancing so quickly, and that even in a futuristic society with such advanced technology, humanity can overthrow it if they need to. Kind of like the Borg, when the TNG crew present the Borg with an unsolvable problem that overloads the collective.
Very well.
Actually, could you imagine how TNG would have turned out if they'd have defeated the Borg by doing dancing?
Air flute. Yeah, that was
I would like to see smoke coming out of the Borg Queen's head after she's overloaded. That would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Sub-Commander, what's your final say and rating?
Well, I appreciated Earl Grey Trekker's thoughtful analysis there. For me, I guess I've always thought of this episode as a little bit of a lark. If it had been any other character apart from Harry Mudd, I probably would have given it a 5 out of 10. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's like it's cotton candy in a way. But it's seeing him come back, and Roger Carmel's performance, elevates it a little bit for me, and and it's also just so nice to see the range of these actors and how they really could do everything. Nice to see Uhura down on a planet, which happens maybe once or twice, 2 other times. So I guess with that, I'll bump it up to say a 7. I mean, it's not a classic, but I certainly entertain.
Admiral.
For me, as always with the Mud ones, Roger C. Carmel, he really does make it. I think the main actors elevate their performance with it. For me it's a 9.5. I love it. It proves to me that you can have humor in Star Trek. Before we had Lower Decks, where people say no, it's got to be science fiction, it's got to be drama, it's got to be a certain bit. It proved to many people, yes, you can have humor. It's one of those ones you can watch just on its own. You don't need to know Star Trek as such. It's humorous. It has lots of different elements that can entertain different people. It's one of those ones you could actually turn around and say it's very TOS, and you could have it as one of the gold standard episodes of TOS for me personally.
Thank you. So 9.5, nice. Fathery.
Oh, I think the episode should get a lot of credit for, kind of breaking the mold, like we were saying, and, showing you can do like a more humorous type story, even though Roddenberry ultimately came out against that. It turns out Gene doesn't always know best.
What's best, yeah.
And
No, he doesn't.
Star Trek was always a collaboration, and you also had, in addition to Gene Roddenberry, Gene Coons and DC Fontana, and a lot of other talent from very early on. Like one man doesn't operate a starship. You can be captain, but you still need a crew. So I give it props for showing us that, and also just for being like very memorable, and for bringing back a season 1 character and using its own continuity. So all of that combined, I will give it a 8 Alice models out of 55,000. No, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Oh, so it's Alice, not Barbara, or whatever.
Whatever the other one was.
Trudy series.
Trudy, there's all those ones.
PJ, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a really fun episode. I like the humor. I like the whole thing where Kirk's like, we don't like you, go away. And how the whole aspect of the episode where they're trying to confuse the androids is something that I remember as a kid. It was one of the tropes of Star Trek of like confuse the computer. And this episode stood out in my mind. It was one of the episodes that stood out. There's a lot of episodes in TOS that I didn't really quite remember as a child, but this is one of them. And the whole Spock telling one android is like, I love you, but I hate you, but we're identical. And he's like, that's why I hate you.
Right.
It's like, I love all that stuff. We
didn't even really touch on Spock, but that was some fun stuff where he was forced to kind of like let loose a little in order to do this thing, and he's able to do it, which was like, it's interesting he's able to act.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Scotty pretending he's dying, and then pretending there's an explosion, and the android's kind of like shut down. It's like, it's so silly and stupid, but it's really fun to watch. And based on that, I'd give it an 8.
Excellent. I'm totally going to try all those techniques if I ever encounter an artificial intelligence that's trying to take over the world. I'll just be like, oh, I know exactly what to do. They taught me in Star Trek.
Yeah. Try to seduce it, like in what a little girl's made out of, or you can give it the Landrew approach, or you can do the eye mud to it.
Well, and if
blank,
it's true.
If someone ever tells me I'm not making sense on Twitter, I'll say, logic is a little tweeting bird tweeting in a meadow. Logic is a wreath of pretty flowers that smell bad. And that'll just end it.
Genshin Martian, tell us your final thoughts and give us your rating. Oh wait, PJ, what was your rating?
8.
8. Okay, sorry.
8, yeah.
I liked the episode as a kid. Watching it now, I mean, I found myself just checking out about the 30-minute mark, where I was just like, I don't really care about what's going on. Like, this is totally ridiculous. It's just a filler episode to me. Like, they had more episodes to make back then. And I don't know, 5. I guess.
Oh wow,
Ooh.
you were the odd man out. That's why I saved you for last. That's good. You did a good job. I wish we heard some more of your critiques, but since you checked out, you
No, I don't
obviously
really
didn't
have
them.
critiques. I just didn't like episode. To me, it's just a filler episode. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? Like it's a comedy episode. There's no real higher message. There's no real tension. There's no real. It's not about any of that. It's just about the. It's kind of like an episode for the sake of entertainment, sort of. So I
You
don't
should
really
watch
have anything
Star
to
Trek
critique about
Discovery
it.
Season 1 because there's no joyful episodes or filler episodes in it. It's just 10 episodes of serious Star Trek. Actually, just all kidding aside, PJ and I were remarking that like it would be nice to have maybe one episode a season in the newer Star Treks where it wasn't just all intensity and there was a little maybe departure and like a little humor to bring some of that joy that's in Star Trek back. So, you know, balance in the other direction.
Yeah, a diversity of stories is something that is not as common in Star Trek now as it used to be.
Very cool. So at least it made it to 5 and above for all of us. I like that. Anything you guys want to promote before we sign off? I do. I can do it for you if you.
Yeah, go on. You actually you big us up better than we can do it ourselves.
Ruben just dropped. Ruben.
Just go one by one.
Yeah, it's true. I'm gonna go backwards in the other direction. Ruben just dropped on Pop Axiom and probably on Ruben-Rights.com also. I'm guessing his.
No, it's only on Pop Axiom.
Oh, Pop Axiom. Okay. On Pop Axiom, he just dropped a interview with Jeff Russo talking about his work. So go check that out. And you can also find him on Starfleet Boy After Dark. And here on the TOS discussions from time to time, we like having you on, even though you're like, you know, changing the topic and talking trash about 60 Minutes, my favorite show.
I didn't bring up 60 Minutes. I didn't fucking bring it up.
I'm just teasing.
I didn't fucking bring it up.
I'm just teasing. Anyways, so go check out Ruben. On Twitter, he can be found as @rmartian and then Ruben-Rights.com. PJ is on Boa Trek. Just kidding, Boat Wreck. And you can find him as BoTrek1 on Twitter. And we just wrapped up. I was so honored to be your buddy on season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. We are doing a watch-along series. It's not just me, but I seem to be the most available. Sean also did an episode. Which was cool. I still haven't gone back and seen it.
What are you doing, the one episode by one episode thing, like you did with like
we're just
TNG?
doing fan commentaries, like basically, which my mom loves them. By the way, she watches so
fan commentary.
fan commentaries, exactly. What else you got going on the Chan?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, nothing else. That's it.
Well, you can also see PJ on Starfleet Boy After Dark, and here we were honored to have you on our TOS discussion today, PJ. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Father's over on Text Trek, and he can you can check out his latest video that he just dropped, which was I'm blanking on the name of the episode from DS9.
Past Tense.
Thank you.
Parts
Past
1 and
Tense,
2.
Part 1 and 2, and with special guest Will Gwen, who is
recently featured on StarTrek.com.
StarTrek.com, and he's known as the Communist Trekkie? Is that his like handle?
The Star Trek Communist.
The Star Trek Communist. Yeah, very cool.
You can follow him on Twitter at @BoomerNiner. And next week
you
we're
named
finishing.
Names.
Next week we're finishing Deep Space Nine season 3. Me and Dave, his first time watching, my 47th time watching, and so that'll be available Friday on May 21st, and then on May 28th we're taking another break from Star Trek to talk about Babylon 5 season 3. So that'll
which
be...
I might actually no promise. Yeah. I'm very close to getting caught up. I'm almost at season 2, so we'll see. Hopefully I can get caught up in this week by next week.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that today the writer of today's episode also wrote for Babylon 5.
Oh, right on. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Did he? I didn't check him out. Did he write for Teen?
David Gerald? Are you talking about David Gerald or Stephen Kandel?
Gerald. He wrote Gerald. He wrote for Babylon 5 also.
David Gerald has the rewrite credit. Stephen Kandel was the writer of this episode. But yeah, that's cool. Stephen Kandel did most recently. Oh, MacGyver and Batman and Mannix. I remember that show, Mannix. Lots of stuff. That's crazy. I love MacGyver. That's cool. Anyways, you can find our Dadmiral at. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we covered Trek Chat Chat. Sorry. We covered text chat. Now we're going to Trek Chat. I'm computing too much.
There's gonna be smoke coming out of his ears in a little bit.
There's smoke coming out of my ears. Check out Ian, our Dadmiral, on Twitter, where he posts fun things all the time, but also on Trek Chat's YouTube. What's the latest build or release that you put on there?
Well, last week I put on the Enterprise C.
That's right.
Which Fathery tends to like, because obviously it's the Ambassador class to me, which is one of the best ships that we've ever had. Unfortunately, the designer, actually, it's here. It's still here.
Ooh.
Cool.
It's there. They've done it. I wish they'd slightly changed the cells, but that's for me to change, which maybe one day I'll do, and then I can do a video on it.
I like the
I
B.
think. Well, I think it's either going to be the Enterprise B or the Excelsior that I may do next.
Woo!
So it's going to be Excelsior class. So yeah, I do. I've got a couple of little builds that I do on Twitter. I have my Instagram account, and obviously I have the YouTube. And 9 times out of 10, my bigger builds, which I put on, are on treksphere.com as well.
Very cool. Subcommander Tall can be found as Subcommander Tall, right, on Twitter. Same handle.
Yeah, and I also run the at Mr. Leslie TOS, which is kind of a parody account on Twitter as well.
Oh, cool. I'll follow you there.
Yeah,
too.
it's kind of like a red shirt diary sort of thing. So at Mr. Leslie TOS.
That's awesome. I'll have to follow that. Earl Grey Trekkie, what have you got going on?
Just a Batman watch along tomorrow and a Tooth and Claw Doctor Who discussion tomorrow.
I'm excited to talk about Tooth and Claw. I have a lot of thoughts on Tooth and Claw, so that's really exciting. You can go check him out on Earl Grey Trekkie on Twitter. It's just that, and then you took the 1701 out of your YouTube account, so it's the same on YouTube. So please subscribe, follow these wonderful people, especially Ruben, who's making a funny face. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you on the